Zoldyck is a name that holds a lot of value and prestige in the Hunter x Hunter world. Regarded as one of the most powerful families in existence, their family name alone can strike fear and terror in the underworld, even more than the presence of the whole Phantom Troop. Only a few people unrelated to the family have any information about what is within their estate, but luckily for you, I'm one of them.
No, you ain't!
Nah, seriously, it's time to go balls deep, uncovering everything about them.
Let's go!
Killua Zoldyck is the future leader and is capable of assassinating any target his family asks of him. But underneath this facade of a ruthless killer, Killua is a misunderstood young boy who wants his own identity. He seeks a purpose in life that is uniquely his and separate from the one he was born into. You know the saying, all great leaders are people who don't actually want power and an authoritative position, but it's others who acknowledge them for being the best. But why does the Zoldyck family believe Killua's potential is to become the strongest character in Hunter x Hunter?
It's rewind time.
Well, it begins in Killua's childhood. He is the third son of Silver and Kikyo Zoldyck. Their word is an automatic guarantee that your work, killing people, will get done. For the right fee, of course. But you don't become a family of cold-blooded assassins without going through intense training and downright torture. Yes, that's right. Zoldyck children are taught the art of assassination and killing right from birth. Like, bruh, what happened to teaching your kids the ABC?
We don't care.
From the very beginning, Killua showed great promise and talent as an assassin. He had already mastered several killing techniques at a very young age. He possessed superhuman strength and extremely sharp thinking, especially for a toddler. For example, he was playing with 50 kg yo-yos and could open the third tier entrance to his house that weighs 16 tons before even knowing NEN. Therefore, his parents considered him to have more potential than any of his siblings, which caused Killua to be declared the next leader of the Zoldyck family. Unfortunately, this was actually the worst possible outcome that Killua could ask for. He had no identity of his own, and he was put under huge pressure to fulfill his family's wishes. The Zoldicks do not play around when it comes to family business. In the name of preparing Killua to become their heir, he was physically and mentally tormented throughout his childhood. We can witness this brutal treatment from chapter 47, where Killua, after returning home, gets strung up and beaten for 3 days for disobeying. Even by Zoldyck's standards, his training was harsh, as they wanted him to become the perfect killing machine who is capable of leading the family. When Killua was only 6 years old, his father forced him to compete at Heaven's Arena. Silver, deadass, looked at his son in the eye and was like, yeah, I know you're only 6 and all your opponents are grown men, but don't you dare come home till you reach the 200th floor though. Love you, XOXO. By the way, I thought my parents were bad for yelling at me when I didn't want to be a doctor and chose to be a YouTuber.
So true.
It took Killua 2 whole years to reach the 200th floor. I would say that is an extremely impressive feat for an 8-year-old, considering most fighters are never even able to reach the 40th floor. Killua is built different, but the main takeaway from this training is that he lost 2 entire years of his childhood. His family only thought about the objective of his future and didn't care about how a kid his age should be treated, as long as he had the skills necessary to take over as the family head. I mean, they even go as far as using poison and electricity to train him. Due to this, by the age of 12, Killua had developed immunity to most poisons, as well as an extreme resistance to electricity. But at what cost? Well, this poor kid never got a chance to be an actual child, having to live life on hard mode since the day he was born. No wonder he spent all his earnings from Heaven's Arena on candy. Despite all the pressure from his family, it is quite evident that Killua is still a child at heart. I mean, look how happy he gets when he plays with Aluka and her toys. He even carries around a skateboard everywhere, highlighting how he tries to hold on to the few things that still make him feel like a child. Now, even though he lost his childhood, he does have one thing going for him: his older brother. I mean, technically, yeah, that's him, but he usually looks like this. What the hell? Illumi Zoldyck, Killua's oldest sibling who has the most twisted and lopsided relationship with him. He is somehow Killua's biggest threat and protector at the same time. Illumi recognized the immense potential that young Killua had, as shown by his acceptance of him as the future head of the family, even though he is the oldest. However, Illumi is one cunning man, having realized the need to control and manipulate Killua from a young age. He wanted to make sure Killua didn't stray away from his family duty. Such power and talent needed to be put on a tight leash, only to be used to suit their needs. So to completely restrict Killua from having his own goals and identity, Illumi started emotionally and mentally abusing him. He brainwashed Killua into thinking that his only identity was to be surrounded by darkness and death, where he could only get joy from ruthless killing, which, by the way, resulted in this scene.
What happened? Why am I so cold?
Murdering someone is like second nature to Killua, but he doesn't actually like doing it. The truth is, whenever he faced any kind of problem or frustration, Killua's first instinct was to kill and think later, because in his mind, killing was the only legitimate way to deal with a problem, as instilled in him by his brother. His moral compass was tragically perverted due to his traumatic relationship with Illumi. His introduction in the Hunter exam is a perfect example of this, where he tackles the hurdle by ripping somebody's heart out instead of showing mercy as Leorio or Gon did. However, Illumi's abuse was a double-edged sword, as its true purpose was to ensure Killua's safety. He even shows his care by threatening to kill Hisoka if he lays a finger on his baby bro. I mean, I guess that counts. However, you might think, why isn't someone who is strong enough to threaten Hisoka a candidate to be the head of the Zoldyck family? Well, as we mentioned earlier, it's all about potential. Illumi makes decisions via tradition, acting and proceeding based on his family's teachings, meaning his opinions depend on how things have been in the past. He clings to the Zoldyck way a little too much because it is all he has known. Killua took away his birthright of being the head of the family as the oldest son. When he was 12 years old, Killua was born, showing more potential, so they instead started to train Illumi to be like a guard dog, a guardian for the other kids, instead of the leader. We know their father, Silver, personally was training Killua for years, and even his mother is extremely obsessed, making it clear that he is the golden child. So basically, Illumi's role in the family now had to be shifted, and with his mindset of always following the family way, he instead became fixated in keeping Killua safe by any means. However, his jealousy still shines through by the manipulative and abusive tactics he uses against his little brother in the name of keeping him safe. For instance, the needle he implanted in Killua's head. Illumi was never going to become the best candidate for the Zoldyck leader with his one-minded approach to things. To him, every problem can be solved through murder. However, in the Hunter world, you must keep innovating and thinking outside the box to become the strongest. A leader of the Zoldyck family must steer everyone towards the best outcome, and sometimes the best outcome isn't what worked in the past. The biggest example of this class is Aluka and Nanaka. The family just, hid this great power away due to fear. Illumi wanted to do the same thing. Only Killua figured it out and had the mind to extract this great strength. On the other hand, Illumi believes Killua is still immature and incapable of making the right decisions in a fight. According to him, one must only fight when the probability of victory is 100%. To ensure that Killua never loses a battle, Illumi planted a special NEN needle in his head to further manipulate him and remodel his character through fear. This is demonstrated by Togashi when Master Wing displayed his hostile NEN. Killua got so freaked out that he literally fled the scene like a cat. Yeah, that was the needle's fault. This explains Killua's irrational decision of killing Bodoro during the Hunter's exam's final stage. Killua knew that Leorio's chances of winning were slim. He was overwhelmed and struggling to overcome Illumi's manipulation while still trying to help his friend out. So, what does he do? He disqualifies himself so that everyone else can pass. It's sad to see how once again, Killua had to resort to murder as the only solution. After years of abuse from his family, his self-worth was already very low. Combine that with the needle's effects, and it's no surprise he chose to sacrifice himself to help Leorio. During the Chimera Ant arc, Killua finally removes the needle from his head after being backed into a corner. And oh boy, enter Killua 2.0, ladies and gentlemen. Everything changed when he took the needle out. He no longer ran away from strong enemies, but stood his ground and defeated them. After this event, Killua's self-worth skyrocketed. His strength, NEN, intelligence, his about determination, and his loyalty all increased. He was even able to challenge his family, something that had been very difficult for him in the past. Killua was finally able to move past the darkness and shine brightly as his own self. This further highlights the power Killua has as an adult and why he has more potential than Illumi. For example, Yuppie is one of the best enhancers we have seen in the entire series. Enhancers are able to greatly increase their physical attack and defense and are best suited for melee combat. The 3 royal guards had a minimum of 1 million aura points according to Knuckles' ability. In comparison, Illumi as a manipulated type would not be able to enhance his body to those of Yuppie's caliber, which means he will sustain a lot of damage from Killua's Godspeed if they were to fight, as it would be impossible for Illumi to respond just as Yuppie couldn't. The only reason Yuppie was not losing and getting hurt as much is because his aura points and durability is just scaled way too high. But the comparison to Illumi is like an ant facing off a lion. For example, Illumi's arm was broken by Gon without even using NEN. Subone believes that Killua would eventually leave Illumi in the dust when he grows up, as he will be physically stronger due to his affinity for enhancement. If Killua can blitz Yuppie, why wouldn't he be able to blitz Illumi? At the end of the day, Godspeed's true power allows Killua to outspeed any opponent. But the cherry on top of Killua's amazing potential is his even more powerful abilities that will be discussed in a moment, as we now move on to the next family member with whom Killua is closest, his little brother Aluka. I mean, look at this adorable cutie. Of course he loves... Wait a second, what the fuck is that? That doesn't look normal.
Yup, that creature there is called Nanika, a mysterious beast from the Dark Continent who possesses Aluka's body. If someone completes 3 of Aluka's requests, Nanika appears to grant that person 1 wish. No harm in that, right? You fulfill 3 requests and you get your wish granted.
Wrong.
What happens when you don't complete Aluka's wishes? Well, say no to her 4 times and you and the people you love the most will perish immediately.
Damn.
Yeah, that's pretty dark. The Zoldicks think Aluka is extremely dangerous to the world and force her to live alone, locked in her room. This is because Aluka is actually from the Dark Continent and is one of the great calamities that was brought back as a punishment to humanity. But this doesn't stop Killua from loving his sibling dearly, being very protective. He never treated her like a monster, unlike everybody else, and that's why Aluka considers him to be her best friend. Killua doesn't want Aluka to go through the same fate as he did in childhood, going as far as threatening to kill his mother just so he could escape the Zoldyck estate with Aluka. Taking a complete 180 turn from the cute and adorable Aluka, we also have this thing. Yeah, this guy doesn't touch grass and isn't a Chad like you. Yes, you, because you have the notification bell on and hit the like button of the video, right? Thank you. Anyways, Miluki Zoldyck is Killua's second oldest brother. He hates that Killua gets all the attention from his family as the future leader of the Zoldyck. When we take a look at all the family photos, Killua is the center of attention. He is given all priority and importance, whilst Miluki is in the back watching in the shadow. Literally, Miluki claims he's a better assassin than Killua, as he would be able to defeat any enemy. But let's be honest, his biggest enemy is the treadmill, and the only thing he's defeating is a family bag of Doritos.
Emotional, damn it!
Now, because of his own shortcomings, Miluki takes out all his anger and jealousy on Killua by torturing him. However, even whilst Killua is tied up, he still manages to take the L. Editor, quick reminder for our viewers, please. As you can see, Killua is unfazed by the beating. In fact, he is indifferent towards Miluki because he knows he's much more powerful and talented than him. But this was nothing new to Miluki, as he actually suffers from second child syndrome, feeling inferior and uncomfortable around his sibling. He even said so himself, claiming Killua is one of the best in the entire history of the Zoldyck family, but he lets his emotion rise upon the surface, which makes him a failure as an assassin. That's just his copium talking though, you know. This mentality is the reason for his low self-esteem, jealousy, and a feeling of being neglected. He hates comparisons and does things to grab your attention. A perfect example of Togashi's brilliant writing representing this is Miluki's inventions. For instance, he attaches bombs to mosquitoes as a weapon for assassination. However, the bomb's explosion is only as big as a firecracker. Manzano sees this, tells him he's a genius and an idiot at the same time.
Emotional, damn it!
In all honesty, we shouldn't feel sorry for this dude, as he is evil internally and externally. Let's not forget when he exploited Aluka's power multiple times, using his wishes to kill innocent people just for fun or to receive the latest high-tech computer model. My guy killed multiple people for the 4090. That's what this guy did, okay?
Boy, ain't no way, boy.
Now, this explains quite a lot about his personality, as we come to know that he has never left the house in the last 7 years. He is literally the epitome of please go outside and touch grass. This dude is the meme. But what does he do at home in his basement all this time? Now, you guys might have some crazy imaginations, but he actually was trying to reproduce the game Greed Island using the save data copied from a memory card left by Jing. But even at that, he was not successful. He wasn't able to run it on any of his computers, which led him to the idea of hacking into the Hunter website, but he never went through with it because it had too many risks. Speaking of risks, Killua has a younger brother called Kaluto, who is a Phantom Troop member. Now, he was accepted into the troop at the age of 10, so they don't share a very close bond. However, Hisoka's mission to eliminate the organization will lead them having more interaction in the future. We don't know much about him yet, other than the fact that he was strong enough to defeat a Chimera Ant Guard with NEN pretty easily. Now, how the hell does this 10-year-old have NEN and not the prodigy Killua? Like, Killua didn't even know NEN. That sounds like a plot hole, but I don't know, bro. But someone who we do know a lot about is Killua's mother. I mean, she does love Killua just a tad bit too much, okay? She is so adoring and proud of him that when Killua hurt her and left the house, she was actually proud of him. This crazy bitch is so in love with the idea of Killua becoming a pro assassin that she tries to obsessively control his life. She hates when Killua makes new friends, being under the impression that everyone out there is determined to lead her boy astray. Her extreme love and high hopes revolted Killua, and he has a deep-seated dislike for his mother. When Killua decided to leave the mountain with Aluka, Silva disapproved. In retaliation, Killua makes a wish to his brother that if they will not be able to leave within 30 minutes, he will wish to kill his mother. This trait has in one way or another rubbed off on Killua, as Gon represents the light in the darkness, but we will save that relationship for another video in the future. However, on the flip side, Killua's father Silva is the exact opposite of this wacky woman. He has a calm and stoic personality and approaches most situations in a rational manner. Silva was responsible for Killua's rigorous training as a child. Even though he was very tough on his son, he held him in high esteem and was the one who made Killua the head of the family. In fact, in Killua's relationship chart with his family, he admits he respects his father, and in tangent, his father has high hopes for him. However, even his love for Killua is directly related to his expectations of him as the Zoldyck heir, shown by the real reason behind him allowing Killua to travel the world with Gon. On the surface, this may seem like a saintly act, but according to him, giving Killua his freedom was essential in the development as the leader of the Zoldicks, and to enhance his power level even further. Their promise has layers to it, as it goes against Illumi's needle inside of Killua. Killua's promise of protecting his friends is counter to Illumi wanting him to only prioritize his safety. And as I established earlier, Illumi's will is the family's will. So why would Silva make this promise? Well, you have to look at the needle as training wheels. It's like how a child learning to ride a bike must let go of the protection from the wheels. Therefore, Killua must learn to assess the situation of battle on his own, without the influence of a stupid needle. It's part of his growth as a hunter and an assassin. This promise is a way for Silva to give fuel for Killua's growth, because remember, everything Killua must do needs to help in his growth as the future heir. It's all training in Silva's eyes. So him letting Killua explore his own goal is merely part of the Zoldyck way. Just listen to this quote. In the event that family members have different ways of thinking or objectives, rather than attempting to consolidate areas of common opinion, each person simply gives their all to achieve their own goals. This is just how the family handles misfits like Killua. Silva is confident that Killua will eventually return to him, finally ready to take on the responsibility of leadership, because he knows Killua the best. This is showcased through his own admission that his relationship with Killua was non-existent outside of training. Since training was the only thing Killua had done in his life, this means his father knew his character the most. So he surmises that if Killua broke the promise with his dad, he would feel even worse than if he hadn't made it, resulting in him coming back. Silva's decisions during the Hunter Chairman election arc tells us a lot about him too, as it shows a true dedication and love for his family. When Killua asks to use Aluka, he's strictly opposed to it, as it can destroy the entire family. However, when Killua threatens to kill his mother, Silva consents to letting Killua use his younger brother to heal Gon. Now, Silva does not care about Gon at all, or anyone else other than his family. The main reason for his consent was to avoid an all-out war and alienating his son from the family. However, he does also see value in having Gon in Killua's life. He understands that for Killua to improve his Nen and Hatsu, he must let him be a free bird, because remember, your Nen grows stronger when you have desire or purpose, and what is one thing Killua doesn't have? A purpose. That's why he always followed Gon around. This brings us to the final member of Killua's family, his grandfather, Zeno Zoldyck. He might look like an old geezer, but make no mistake, he can still go toe-to-toe with Crollo. On top of that, he has the highest attack speed of all hunters. During the Chimera Ant arc, his Dragon Head attack was able to span a certain distance in 10 minutes that took post-Rosemarium twice as long to travel. There are not many interactions between Killua and his grandfather. However, Zeno is quite fond of him, liking Killua much more than Miluki. During the Chimera Ant arc, Zeno unexpectedly encounters Killua. He is surprised to see how much Killua had changed in such a short time, acknowledging that he had matured a lot. He instantly could tell that Killua got rid of Illumi's needle, informing Silva of it as soon as he had the chance. They weren't even angry or shocked, more like proud, and it was expected. This expectation of growth is how Killua will gain the next stage of his power. Killua's Godspeed is influenced by the relationship with his family. He could transmute electricity because of the training he received since childhood. And what is the main power he has? To run faster than anyone else. It embodies how he has been running from his family all his life. However, after his adventures with Gon, he has now learned the importance of friendship and bonds with people around him. So this new power will be something which allows him to preserve these bonds instead of running away. Killua's NEN is already busted when he doesn't even have a clear goal or purpose. So now imagine a Killua who has the desire to protect his friends. The closest moment we see of something like this happening is when Killua unlocked Godspeed by taking out Illumi's needle to save Gon. And now his entire purpose revolves around protecting Alluka and his friends. This also links to why Silva specifically made Killua promise to keep his friends safe. It's almost like he foresaw this happening. He knew this was the missing piece to Killua harnessing his full power. We saw how strong NEN can grow when someone has a desire through Gon, surpassing his limits by going adult. Similarly, Killua can channel his resolve into creating a new Hatsu that doesn't depend on his family's teachings but his own. Now, you might be wondering, what could this new power be that will turn Killua into a Chad? Well, it will have something to do with the enhancer side of his. Yup! Togashi has just revealed that a person can be two different NEN types at the same time, and Killua is right in the middle of the Transmuter and Enhancer class. This enables Killua to master enhancement techniques as fast as he would transmutation techniques. Another fun fact that Togashi revealed about NEN was that there are these things called leanings, where although you could be born to be mostly a enhancer, your affinity could lean towards transmuter or emitter as you grow older, as you have a change in your mentality and personality. Currently, Killua is only utilizing the transmutation part of his affinity to the highest effect. He has barely even touched enhancement. This is likely due to his upbringing where he always had to be cold and calculating like an assassin. The exact opposite of what it means to be an enhancer, resulting in his NEN to lean more towards a transmuter. However, after his travels with Gon, he can embrace the simple-minded side of his, which led him to buy a room full of candy with the prize money from Heaven's Arena. Now, to enjoy more peak fiction, discover the truth about the new specialist and 1 in a billion NEN user, 4th Prince Saradnik.